Hi, this is Paula. This is the Common Book Show, and I'm going to read something that I wrote trying to get a column together for like a Ann Landers for sex education for men. And I decided that I would read this today. It's fun, and here I go. It's a little long. It's called Let's Talk Dirty. That's what I wanted the column to be called. I remember reading about a culture in which seasoned females were used to initiate young males into the wonderful world of sex. In this other place and time, a young man was taken into the guidance of a woman twice his age, so that he might be shown how to pleasure a woman in a non-threatening, educational manner before he completely screwed up his first attempt at sexual interaction. Theoretically, she would guide him and explain the delicate, intricate workings of the female erogenous zones and genitalia. In return, she got a young, perky, enthusiastic, hard-bodied student. It was a win-win situation. At no time in this arrangement did either party believe that this was a relationship. It was strictly business. I'm not saying that the teacher didn't tell her student that, say, he needs more practice with his thrusting, but generally he was tutored until she was satisfied he knew his stuff, or rather, her stuff. The normally clumsy ox youngster would get the gentle, loving care of this older, more seasoned woman who would teach him where and how to touch, how to kiss, and the subtle use of the tongue. This happens in our society today under the general heading of pedophilia and is usually perpetuated by horned-out 10th grade English teachers. It is socially unacceptable, and I'm not condoning this behavior, unless, of course, the young man happens to be 21. When our primitive student was finally ready to enter the marriage tent, his young, nubile wife would be saved the embarrassment of the ritual faking of the orgasm while her new husband groped around her tender flower of a vagina like he was trying to wax a '57 Chevy. He knew what he was doing, and he taught his bride the art of pleasuring him as well. This was the start of a beautiful, lifelong journey into the sensual pleasure dome. As sick and perverted as this might sound to our American puritanical ears, it makes a lot of sense. Think of all the problems this would eliminate in the sack. If a man started out his life knowing the ropes, he would not be stunted by the misinformation perpetuated by the other clueless men that believe women when they tell them they're great in bed. We lie. I'm willing to tell you the tricks and cons we play. This, along with blunt answers to your most intimate questions, to help educate you to be better lovers. I'm not doing this because I have such a high regard for men. I'm doing it because I'm damn sick and tired of listening to women complain about your performance. I'm not saying that the average woman is any better at sex than the average man. However, we get our misinformation from periodicals like Cosmo and Glamour. The first problem is that most women will not tell you that they didn't have an orgasm, or they will make up a lame excuse. They will do things such as fake it, a classic response when she is tired of you banging on and on while you think about baseball so that you don't come first. The average vagina cannot take all that friction without major chafing. She will tell you that she doesn't need to have an orgasm. Now, try to imagine the most engorged erection you've ever had, and then imagine abruptly stopping without climaxing. I don't give a damn what Sting says. Most men will take that orgasm over tantric sex any day. Think about it. An orgasm is one of the top reasons men have sex. Women need sexual release too. It's one of the few things we have in common. She'll tell you, don't worry, I just can't orgasm. I never do. I'm used to it. This may not actually be a lie. She may not have learned how to masturbate in a fit of sexual frenzy caused by her inadequate male partner thinking sex was over. If she has not had an orgasm, it's because she doesn't know how, or because she is on a heavy dose of antidepressants because she has never had an orgasm. Talk about a vicious cycle. I believe all women can be orgasmic if they are correctly manipulated. I also believe that there are women out there who still believe that clitoral orgasms mean that she is sexually immature. This, of course, is hogwash, created by men who do not want to do anything except screw. They believe the act of screwing, whether it is preceded by foreplay or not, should produce an orgasm in any woman. Do you think we invented foreplay to deprive you of valuable television watching time? If you take time with us, you can unleash the wanton sex maniac deep in our matriarchal ancestral blood. When women say they don't like sex, it's usually because they have never had good sex. Once your woman has an orgasm, I guarantee she will want another one. It may also make her want to show her appreciation by engaging in alternative sexual behavior that may not have appealed to her in the past. Once she understands where you're coming from, she will be a better partner. Before you engage in your quest for better performance as a lover, you must understand one simple rule. We're all different. That one trick you learned from Jackie in the neighborhood, the neighborhood good sport, may not work on anyone else but Jackie. There are some generalities I can give you and some ways to sensitize yourself to pick up subtle clues that women give during sex to tell you what she wants or does not want. But please, for God's sake, do not think that once you know how to rock one woman's world, you can rock every woman's world. Pay attention and let her body talk to you, because it will tell you if you listen. Here is a sample of a question to get you started. This is an actual question asked of me by an actual man a few years ago. Let's call the friend Tim, since that's his real name. My friends told me to wait 5 days to call a woman after our first sexual contact. They said if I don't, I'll appear to be desperate and she'll lose interest. Should I really wait 5 days? Dear Tim, if you wait 5 days to call, this woman, she will assume that since you got your dick wet, that's all you were after. In fact, you do call her in 5 days. Wait a minute. If, in fact, you do call her in 5 days, she will think you're looking to get your dick wet again. If you actually like her, the girl rule is that you call her when you get home that night or the next day as early as possible to tell her how great it was. Buy her flowers if you really want to make an impression. She'll brag to her girlfriends for days, and you'll be a big hero. The next time you see her, she'll remember the sex as more pleasurable based on the sweet token gift. The flowers don't have to be expensive. You can get her a $5.99 bouquet at the supermarket, or even pick them out of your neighbor's yard. Wait until dark, and make sure there's no dog.
That's good writing.
Thank you.
You wrote it?
I got to talk. Oh, Richard's got to talk. Yeah. I wrote this one because we had somehow become close with Paul Fallon, and I thought, wow, this would be really fun for this male newspaper to write a column like this. And he read it, and somebody else at the paper read it, and they said, nah, I don't think this is right for. But I had already talked to 5 girlfriends that would have been anonymous, right? And they said that they'd be my panel of experts, people who had been around the block. So anyway, I just thought it would be fun to start something racy for a change. Hi. What, did you get anything out of that? Do you hate me now? Anyway,
Oh, historically, you mean?
yeah. Well, I in my anthropology class that I took at UB, we talked about different cultures, and there were some things that were really odd to me, like really crazy, and I had a hard time wrapping my head around them. Like, for instance, different peoples who would eat their dead relatives so that they could keep them with them. But I mean, it made sense on some level, but there was also this idea of this tribe where the women would initiate the guys,
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, that's not a bad idea, but it's not going to work in our puritanical United States of America. Can you imagine? I mean,
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting because what you just said is something where I was watching, listening to Joseph Campbell, the Paula.
oh yeah, that's about this. Yeah,
Yeah, and he did a very good, interesting thing about that because he said, essentially, I guess, Patricia, what point you're talking about in history, of sexuality. Because when you go to like the American Iroquois, or if you go back to the pre-Columbian period, or if you take something like the Incas, they have very different,
Oh,
their
yeah,
sexualities are totally, we wouldn't even understand,
right. They didn't. They didn't.
they didn't,
The
yeah,
kids would engage in sex play, and they wouldn't discourage them. Like, we have this thing where don't touch yourself. You're gonna go to hell. You're gonna go blind. But
yeah, yes, but don't forget, they had their roles, that's correct. And those people but they had strict roles that you played where I would say, they had like their own forms of fetish. And that's why they would make those little tiny, you might would see like fetish dolls. That's where we get it to from today. It would help them when they put two people together. You were there. That's my sex partner. Now another guy would mess with her. He could actually be cursed, and he would lose his ability to produce.
well,
And he can't,
yeah. Well, there's
And so, but think about it. That makes me. I would have to be beholden to you forever and ever. Because if I left that lady there, I'm in trouble.
yeah.
You see what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was very interesting how the norms, that we have in sexuality progress.
Yeah, there were cultures also though that had polyamorous. They
Yeah,
they had either they had no strict partners, or if they did have partners, sometimes it was a woman with more than one husband, or a man with more than one wife, and depending on the culture. So there were a lot of different. It was fascinating to take that class because it introduced me to ideas that I never would have thought of. It was just a fascinating. You take any anthropology classes in college?
No, I didn't.
I think it's would be important for like people to learn that there's so many different ways of being. That this is not the only this life here in these United States is not the only way of being. You know, I don't know. I'm fascinated by
yeah, I agree. I
otherness.
agree with it. I got there's a book called When God Was Woman.
Oh, that's a
And
great book. That's a
yeah,
great book. I love that
yeah,
book. It's one of my favorites.
yeah. And I love that. And she went into the points of going back to the Venus of Willendorf. You never heard of her.
Hmm.
And that's like, it's a Venus of Willendorf is your oldest sexual object.
Hmm.
Okay. You're talking about Precambrian. So it looks like a woman's body. It has these little bumps all around it. And those means that she's fertile.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was a fetish symbol they used to worship. So the women, they would always do the sexual initiations. And you're talking about, and guys, let me give you a perspective. This would be about 4000 BC. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
I'm
where
not.
the Venus.
Right. Most religion was female. I mean, there was male and female in each religion.
Yes,
When
yes,
the beginning of the patriarchal religion was with the Israelites. They did
yeah.
not have a
Each
woman.
structure.
They didn't have a woman, then thereby the Christians as well. So and when they were very angry when their women used to want to worship the female goddesses, and that caused a lot of trouble. So
Yep. That's true. That's because when you go back to Egypt, that's where you see Akhenaten. Egypt had obviously women leaders, and from Akhenaten, that was his mom. His mom was the pharaoh Nefertiti. And so yes, women did that. When you get to the Jewish structure, it's very interesting. Not only Jewish though. Don't forget, Patricia, it's also the Islamics. They're not
okay,
big on.
all right.
You don't see
Although
like a lot of women.
I don't mind the name Patricia,
Is it Pat? What
it's
is your name?
Paula.
Paula. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
no,
Paula.
that's okay.
I
That's
said
all right.
Paula.
I'm not
My
that.
bad. I knew it was a P, so
It's a
I
P.
sorry
I know.
about that.
You got the
Sorry
first.
about that.
You got the first initial right. I'm not really complaining,
Paula.
but I figured you'd want to know.
Sorry, Paula. Yeah, Paula. That's right. It's Paula, and the gentleman there. That's
Richard?
Richard. Okay,
Yeah.
it didn't come up on my thing
Yeah,
here.
it's
Okay,
Richard. So
Paula and Richard. Okay, now I see you guys now. There.
so
It was
yeah.
like squinched up. All of the words are squinched really tiny, and I couldn't see it all.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it depends
So,
on how you're looking at the screen.
yeah.
So when did you
So
get?
it's interesting. You
Yeah.
should say that. So
When did you get back, James?
I got in, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday night and went straight to work. But I'm too good at what I do because I'm working myself out of a job because I keep finishing sooner.
Oh, there'll be more.
Oh, you know somebody?
No, but there'll be more. You'll be fine. I don't think there's going to be any shortage. So, Richard, if you don't have anything else to say about my idea, then we can go
Good.
on to something on your.
Yeah.
On
I just don't have anything to add to that.
Yeah. No, I mean it was fun to write because it helped me. It opened up my mind to all the things I've thought about women's sexuality and how it's such a taboo subject. It's so, especially in the time I was growing up, you didn't talk about those things and nobody knew about those things. I mean, the best you could do was hope for an accidental orgasm at one point, and then you knew what was supposed to be happening, because you didn't know. It was just a very closed world for women.
Do you really think that men wouldn't want something like that?
Wouldn't? Oh yeah, I think they would. That older woman who would show oh yes, I think they would want that.
They do.
I think they would.
So why doesn't it exist?
Because of our society and how puritanical we are. You know that.
Oh, but would that be from the female side or the male side keeping that from happening?
I think it is equally because we don't. First of all, we have this thing about pedophilia. It's a religious thing. It's like no one under the age of consent, but because we don't have that mindset that this is helpful, we don't have that mindset. It's not going to happen. So the best we can do is communicate with each other and tell each other what we're doing right or what we're doing wrong. But we don't even do that because most women are embarrassed by the subject.
And of course, we keep misinterpreting the definition of pedophilia. These days, they're actually calling a, say, 50-year-old man who's dating a 19-year-old. They're calling that pedophilia.
It's not pedophilia.
Exactly.
She's
Wow.
she's of age. She's not. As soon as she turns
That's right.
18, she is not. She is no longer considered a child. Although, you can argue that everyone's different. Not everyone matures at the same rate. But I think you're in a safety zone. That's not pedophilia. If somebody's under 18, it's pedophilia. I mean, my first relationship, my boyfriend was 4 years older than me, but he was very young for his age. He was over 18 and I was under 18. So, I mean, if you get really technical, he would have been in trouble.
Well, no, he wouldn't, because back then, it didn't say 18. They've been harmonizing the laws to try to make all of the states 18.
It was 18 when I was in high school. It was
I
back
seem
then.
to recall that in New York, girls were 16.
Not when I was in school. It was 18, because there was talk about it, in our in our health class. We were specifically instructed, boys, especially. I don't know. I know it was 18, but
That's an interesting point. Jerry
in other states it was different. Yes.
Jerry Lee Lewis married his 14-year-old cousin in Louisiana, and it was legal in Louisiana.
With parental consent, probably.
Or you might know about
Maybe
that.
not. Because like in Arkansas, it was 13. And a girl could actually get married without parental involvement at 15.
Wow. Yeah. See, it's different in every state, but in New York State it was 18.
So that made the press, and people were outraged, not because he didn't break the law, but he broke a moral law.
Oh, because of the cousin thing?
Because of the age.
Oh, the age thing? Yeah. Well, it's not the first person to get
She wasn't his first cousin.
Do you
Come
know-
on.
No, you can marry. It is legally. You
It
can
is legal to
legally,
marry your second cousin. Yes,
You can legally marry your first cousin.
That's the British
depends on the
royalty.
state.
Yes.
You can. Well, I know that in New York State, you can legally marry your first cousin because I had neighbors that were cousins that were married. It's just that who would? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it depends. I mean, if you didn't know it was your cousin, that's a whole nother thing. But you look at that doctor that impregnated all those women with artificial insemination in that one town. Did you hear about that, Richard? Yeah, that's crazy. All those people are related. The whole town's related.
Do you know what we're talking about?
Yes,
Yeah, that's
Does Robert?
I'm sure you
I
do.
remember what she's talking about.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
on. I was watching it on.
I
It
think
was on
60
Minutes
Minutes or
something.
something. Yeah, I think I saw it there too. It was wild. I was just like, what?
Yes,
What?
that's.
Didn't he never consider the repercussions of that? That was
I know that's. You know, I
wild.
think the whole thing now. What do you guys think, Paul and Richard? I think that's still got to be separated from. If you want to procreate, that's a different subject. Where, let's say, if I'm China, and China for some reason, remember before they say, "Oh, we don't need. We're going to only have two children." They actually killed the female. They were producing it because they thought they needed more males.
Well,
You know,
they were only allowed one child for
they were only allowed one
for
child, and then
decades.
also they were limiting who you could have as well. I was reading the documents. They wanted male. They wanted at a certain time. They were proposed.
Yeah,
they wanted to. They were pushing more.
They
more
would
males.
have the women would have female children aborted. They because they
Yes.
wanted males for the namesake.
Well, there's more
Exactly.
there's more to it than that because in Chinese culture, male children are tasked with taking care of the parents in their elder age, both financially and physically. Female children have no such responsibility. So if you're only going to have one child, having a female child is giving yourself
Right.
no
And
retirement.
Present company accepted. In this country, it usually ends up one of the daughters usually ends up taking care of the older people in the family. You're an exception to that rule, but I just had this conversation with another caregiving friend of mine whose mother just passed away. You know, she was the youngest child, and she was the single one, so she got tasked with taking care of mom. And I know, lots of women who are involved in that same process. So, but I can see. I mean, I always understood it to be prestige, but I didn't understand. I didn't really think about the whole thing of being taken care of. I guess in this right now, I'm hoping my daughter doesn't have to take care of me. That's where I am at this point. I hope she doesn't have to.
I
But,
hear you.
yeah. So, yeah. There's a lot of questions about that. That China.
And see, guys, that's why, and Paula, that's why I separate. I think Richard and Paula. That's now, if I'm having sex, that's fine. That's me and my girl. We hanging out. We're doing what we want to have, and we're having fun. When I'm thinking of procreation, I'm thinking of something different. I'm thinking of I'm going to be the bedrock. She's the mom. We're going to establish this great family, and I get to have my version of me, a mini me's, populating the world. And now I'm in a different mindset. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh, that's the thing. I mean, and people are choosing more and more not to have children, for a lot of different reasons. And I don't think people should have children unless they really want them, because it changes the entire tenor of your life. It becomes your total focus. I mean, you have a child. I don't know what your relationship is, but my child is old and she's got children, and I thought when I became pregnant that it would be 18 years. Oh, I can do this for 18 years.
Yeah, 18 and out.
It never occurred to me that there might be more to it than that. Yeah. So, so Richard,
you got kids, Paula. Paula, you got grandchildren?
I've got 3 grandchildren.
Oh, great.
Granddaughters.
Awesome. Grandchildren. Awesome.
Yeah, they're cute. They're interesting.
Yeah,
We were talking about, the 13-year-old. We were talking. She's in middle school. We were talking about new, it is basically new. I said when I was in high school, I said there were no people that would tell you that they weren't satisfied being a girl, that they wanted to be a boy. Because I went to Catholic school, so there was all girls. I said, and there were no people that would tell you that they would prefer dating a girl to a boy because it was so taboo. Nobody would ever talk about it. We knew that our gym teacher was gay, but we really didn't even know
What that meant.
what it meant. I mean, we knew what it meant. She liked girls, but it wasn't something that we spent a lot of time thinking about. Now my granddaughter tells me that there's kids in the school, in her middle school, who are, she says, more than different gender. They have, they call them furries.
Mm-hmm.
They have furries in the school that wear tails. So to me, it seems like these kids all hang around together. It seems like a club that they formed, more than an identity. And I looked at her and I said, when I was a kid, when I was your age, when I was 13, I was a tomboy. And if somebody would have asked me, what would you rather be, a girl or a boy? I would have said a boy. But I didn't really want to be a boy. I just wanted to do the stuff boys did because it was more interesting and more fun. I didn't, and I said, so I don't know how I would have taken in all this new information if I was 13 now. Would it have affected me in a different way? But I don't know because those choices weren't available. I mean, I don't think so. I never minded being a girl. I just minded doing girl stuff. So.
For a lot of them, it is both a identity and a group activity.
Yeah, I can see that. I can. Oh, so Dudley, yeah, I know it seems weird to someone, but boy stuff is more fun. I like boy stuff. I used to like to ride my bike and play kickball in the street, and the girls all had to like stay in the house or on the porch and play with dolls, and it wasn't fun for me. That wasn't fun for me. I didn't bring a copy of my book, but I have a thing where I talk about, what boys were doing and what girls had to do, and it always seemed like more fun to be a boy. I still hang out with the guys and when I go to parties, I'm usually talking to the guys and not the girls. I don't know. I just gravitate in that direction. No, shooting guns. Yeah, I did have my hunting license, when I was 15, but I never shot anything. Guns are. I don't dislike guns. I just don't think we should have AR-14s or 15s
You
or
don't like
whatever they are.
you don't like those? That's okay.
I don't.
Well,
Guns are fine.
there
I
is
just don't. I just don't think we should have assault weapons on the street. That's all.
well, the thing is, the definition of that got out of hand, and so Paula, I understand, and the education, I guess, once upon a time. The thing about it, once upon a time, guys, you get people who we come here and these are maybe people go out west, young man, and America is brand new and whatever. You have a different definition. You train your kids. I know a person who trained their kids to use, boys and girls, to use guns. They live out not too far from there. They live out west, West Texas, and they trained their family how to get rabbits and hunt and all that stuff. The gun is a tool,
Yeah,
and so
I
the guy
agree.
told me it's nothing but a hammer. Paul, it's just like a saw or a hammer.
Exactly.
And you get bad people when you bring that into the neighborhood, into the hoods. These little punk kids, drive-bys, they start using it not for that, Paula. They're not using it.
No, it's not. It's
for
not
that, you
being
see?
right. It's not being used correctly, and
It's
that's
not using being correctly.
and that's not what the Second Amendment's all about. Second Amendment means you can bear arms and protect your property and protect yourself.
At your property.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
And so that's the, it gets in, you're right, it's convoluted now. And Paula, I understand that sentiment. People ask me, how come I have them? How come I shoot? I have like,
do you have
my
repeating?
AR.
You have weapons like that. See, I don't. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you're not going to convince me that there's any room for that in society. But I mean, I can understand if you're using them recreationally, which I don't even understand why you would use something like that recreationally. But I don't have anything against guns. I just
Yeah.
I think that any of those guns that you have in your possession that would get into the wrong hands. Maybe you're not a crazy guy. I don't know you. Maybe you are. But there's people out there who will do damage, and there's lots of dead children and people because of that.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that I understand that sentiment. People would tell me that. And I said that, hey, that's fine. We will be on opposite sides of that. As the society, we would have to, what we have to do is we have to see where those things weigh in, such as we have a constitution, just like you said, Paul, it's the Second Amendment. You have to be changed. That has to be changed, just like the Volstead Act, right? In order to get that overchanged and people can have their liquor back, it has to be done legally.
Yeah.
You got to do it legally. And just like abortion, I told somebody, I'm either way. It's not a big issue of mine. It needs to be constitutionalized. The Roe v. Wade has to be a form of constitution. You just can't have it as a right of a suggestion. And once that is, then I have to support it.
Right.
You know what I mean, Paula? Anything in that Constitution, Paula, I will support.
Yeah. Well, there's things.
100%.
The thing is, it's always before Roe versus Wade. It was up to the states, and the states could do what they wanted, and now it's back in that direction. So
The Ninth and 10th Amendment, correct?
we'll see what happens after that. But I don't really want to get off on that tangent. I want to cover something on Richard's list. We're got 8 minutes left.
Well, this is something that Dudley called to my attention.
Yeah.
The Catholic Church is trying to promote itself in a modern way.
Okay.
And
Is there a rainbow involved?
And so they have a director of public relations.
Yeah.
And he said, what we need is a modern mascot for the Catholic Church that
Oh, no.
young people will embrace. So he unveiled it this week. Tom, can you show VIN 9?
Oh, no.
This is, the mascot is named Luce.
Luce, L-U-C-E.
I think that's it. L-U-C-E. It means light.
And so they're
Wow.
Did
appealing.
they have a consultant check up on that one
They're-
before they signed off on it?
Are they appealing to? So it looks like it's a children's thing. Like would appeal to somebody. My one granddaughter was 9.
It looks like
a
the
9-year-old.
Japanese animation characters.
I think they're trying to appeal to young people.
Yeah.
Like it's cool to be a Catholic.
Well, I didn't raise my daughter even though I was a Catholic, I didn't raise my daughter as a Catholic, but she chose to be a Catholic. She chose to. I wouldn't let her make her communion when she was 8 because I didn't think she understood what it meant, and I wanted her to understand what it meant. Mm-hmm. So she didn't make her communion until she was 13, and then she was confirmed, and she's not what you'd call it strict practicing Catholic, but she defines herself as a Catholic. So I mean, there is a something about the pomp of Catholicism, going into the church and the music and they don't do it in Latin anymore, but still the prayers and the repetitions and the bells and the incense. It appeals to some people because it makes them feel like there's actual magic going on or something. But I don't see that as being why? Because they're trying to draw people. So they're trying to draw children without their parents
Well, they don't want a new generation growing up thinking that it's not cool to be a Catholic. They know that young people are into fads and stuff like that.
It's no less cool to be a Catholic as it's to be an Episcopalian or to be Jewish or to be, I mean, it's the same mindset that gets you into any. Well, of course, with Judaism, it's a little different. It's a cultural thing, but
So, do you disapprove of them reaching out?
I don't disapprove of them reaching out. But I think it seems kind of weird that they're targeting children.
That's exactly what Dudley said.
Yeah.
Dudley, you want to give us your critique?
Dudley, you know what? I don't think Christians are technically Christian. If you look at what it says, what Jesus is supposed to have said in the Bible, there are no Christian sects that are Christian. If to be Christian you're a follower of Christ, none of that stuff is really, none of it is Christian. It's money, power. Yeah, I know. And first of all, God doesn't need our money, and also God doesn't need. If there's a God, let's say there is a God. Let's say there is this all-powerful being. Why would he need a fan club? Wouldn't it be good enough to be an all-powerful being? Why would you need everybody like being your cheerleading section? I don't get that at all. So.
Well, make sure to feed the bone rattlers.
Well, it's control. It's control of people. It's by control of people by people.
Well, religion was the government before there was the kind of government we have today.
Yeah, I mean, there was because nobody could. I mean, look at is it Copernicus or Galileo that got in trouble with the Catholic Church?
Galileo.
Galileo, okay.
Copernicus said, "You can publish my book the day after I die."
Okay, so he
Never
got
got
around
it.
it.
That's cool.
Good for him.
That's cool, Richard.
Well, Mark Twain had a 3-volume huge autobiography that he said you could publish 100 years after I die. But that's that you got to have some good self-esteem if you think you're still going to be relevant after 100 years. But yeah, it was good. It was great. He talked trash about everybody. There were so many people he didn't like.
I agree with Richard. Well, Richard, though, I agree that it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that, why not? If I put it this way, I got to separate it. Let's put the best virtues of Christianity. It should teach that to the kids. Things that may be dubious or you have speculations or something on, well, that right there is just like anything else. But the best parts of the 10 Commandments or thou honor thy mother, thy father, I like it when my nieces and nephews, you listen to me, or, I'll rip you a new one. He says, that's my gospel. So, some of the kids on the straight and narrow, it's better than most things that I see. I don't want them studying Wicca, and practicing, satanic sacrifices.
Yeah.
So I'd rather still have that, Richard, and Paula.
Most of what people think is devil worship is actually nature worship. It's not really devil worship. It's pantheism, But
Right.
I don't know if there's. Are there people? There are people that worship the devil, aren't there? They're out there.
Yep, Morgan Le Fay. What is the guy? Morgan Le Fay.
Morgan Le Fay and
Morgan Le Fay.
Aleister Crowley.
yes, Alex Crowley and what was the guy here?
Oh, Anton Saint
Yes.
LaVey.
Yes,
That was his name.
Yes.
Anton LaVey.
Morgan Le Fay is from King Arthur's
Right.
Round Table.
That's right. I was sorry. Good one,
Well,
Richard.
not the
Yeah.
round table, but
Good one, Richard.
she was the sorceress that drew Merlin into
Into
the.
the lake. Is it Lady of the Lake? Is that the?
No, that the Tunnel of Light is where
Tunnel of
Morgan
Tunnel.
gets the Sorcerer Supreme to disappear into.
Oh,
Yes.
We're getting very esoteric.
Well, we're all so educated here, so
Oh, we're, yeah, it's,
we can go off on tangents like crazy.
we can, I know. I know. So,
But
yeah.
you know, one thing I would like to point out, I studied religion as a young person, and the interesting thing that I found is that 7 of the 10 commandments are basically agreed upon by every religion I ever studied, including Satanism. So it's really interesting to me that
Wow.
Satanism agrees with 7 out of 10
How
commandments.
much, how do you, I, I had a neighbor, and his mother and him. He was a Vietnam vet, and she lived upstairs. The mother lived upstairs, and he came back from Vietnam, and he was kind of messed up from Vietnam. He was on a helicopter picking up bodies and injured people and stuff, and so he came back like really screwed up. And I became friends with him, and they had black masses up in the upstairs apartment. So I knew that was going on, but he said it wasn't. He said it wasn't black magic. He said it was like we're talking about here with Dudley. It was nature based. You know, they had these spells and stuff, and he claims that he put a spell on my stepfather and killed him. And it freaked him out. But
It freaked who out?
it freaked my friend out because I don't think he really thought it would work. But anyway, it was a favor for me. But anyway, yeah, I'm not Kelly. Yes, I know a lot of people who are pagan, or it's a worship of, not worship so much, but it's a connection to nature. It's not really a religion where it's like a God-based religion. It's like worshiping the earth and nature, and it's kind of nice. I like nature. I'll take that. So, what do you feel about this new little icon for the Catholics?
Well, Dudley sent me this interesting meme where there is this child, and the child looks over at the crucifixion statue and then looks over at the new doll and looks back at the crucifixion statue and said, "I don't like you anymore." And I said to Dudley, that's very profound. Because, that statue is like torture.
Well, yeah.
It's the only religion which has as its symbol someone being tortured to death.
Well, I remember when we were writing Sweet Jesus, and I meant to put this in the script, and it never got in. Like Jesus saying, "Why on earth did you people think that the worst moment of my life here on earth, I wanted to be memorialized around your neck? What was it about that image that made you feel that I would like you to wear this around your neck?" And because I always look at that, and I think, because Catholics are the only one that do the crucifix like that. The other ones just do the cross. But even that, it's like, the image.
Sam Kinison said he was doing his impression of Jesus talking with God, and it's like, "I think it's time for you to go back, Jesus." And he says, "Are they still wearing crosses?" I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Don't want to be reminded of that. But, it's just I think it's silly, and I think that, but then again, I don't think Catholicism's kind of silly. So
You're a Christian, Paula? Or Catholic?
No, I was raised Catholic. No, I'll give you the short version of what I believe in. All right, so on your body, your human body, you've got stuff that lives in your intestines. You've got stuff that lives on your eyelashes, living organisms that live on your eyelashes. You've got bacteria all over your body. Okay, all this stuff is aware of itself. The stuff in your gut's aware it's there. I mean, it's aware of its life. It's aware that it lives someplace. The stuff on your eyelashes is aware it lives someplace, but it doesn't know about you. It doesn't know it's living on you. It certainly doesn't know that there's other things living on the body the same way it is. So I think that somehow we are, the universe and people and everything, we are kind of part of this huge thing that is God. So I like to say, when I make it funny, it's usually we live in the intestines of God. So that's my concept, which is really pantheism. It's just one big thing. It's all God, and we're part of it. And so if you're hurting your neighbor, if you're hurting something else, you're hurting yourself, but you just don't know it because it's connected to you. You know, every single person walking around in the streets, it's the same thing. You're that person. You're that. So it's ridiculous that we're killing each other, and because we're all one thing, and we all are on the same planet, and we're all drinking from the same stream. We can't get away from it, and yet we form clubs and we try to destroy each other. So I don't get that. I am okay. So to be less graphic, I live on the eyelash of God. Not the intestines. No, so I'm not Christian. I guess that's not a Christian belief. Although Jesus did, in the writings, Jesus did talk about something. If you read it and with that in mind, there are some hints that might be part of it. So
I'm reminded of a line from a show I did once. The character that I portrayed said to the audience, I was raised Catholic, and I was a very good Catholic child, but I don't know any Catholic adults.
Well, I got excommunicated, you know, and then they welcomed me back when my ex-husband got an annulment. I got a welcome back letter, and I basically said no, thank you.
Wait a second. That was your get out of hell free card.
Yeah, no, I don't buy any of that stuff. I think, you know, from dust we have come, and till dust we're going to return, and that's it. And we're done. The energy might go someplace else, but who knows?
But you know, so there's no heaven and hell. You wouldn't say that's something that you would.
No, I have an open mind. The idea of heaven and hell doesn't make sense to me. I mean, there might be some kind of spiritual afterlife, but I don't need that. I'm happy. I'm fine with this wonderful, amazing opportunity to be alive and be in this world and experience things. I'm happy with that, you know, and then be done. The chances of me being here at all, if you think about how much, you know, sperm and eggs are wasted, is a miracle. You know, a miracle in a nature sense. You know, I'm glad to be here. I'm happy to be here, and I'm going to enjoy it as long as I'm here. I don't need the other part. I don't need to go on forever. Give me a
So you don't need the afterlife is not like it would bring you close to other people who are departed. You can see your ancient spirit. Okay.
No, I think my DNA brings me close to them. You know, my family. I've got my mother's DNA. I've got my father's DNA. My grandchildren have my DNA. You know, I mean, and even more than that. You know, I think that, like I said, I think we're all one thing. So I'm going to be gone, but there's going to be plenty of other people here and experiencing the same stuff I'm experiencing now. No, I don't need to go on forever. Thanks. No, thank you. I don't even like harp music. You got to read, if you're interested, Mark Twain wrote this great book called, just a story. It's Letters to Earth, and it's really entertaining. He talks about heaven and hell, and
Yes.
it's amazing. It's an amazing little book.
That one, yes, Paula, that is excellent. Yes, I only had read only like a few. Somebody sent me some passages from it. It was like excellent. But I'm
Yeah.
glad you said that. That's right. That's
Yeah.
everybody should read.
Yeah, you know what? It's so funny. I think I just got rid of my copy of that. Otherwise, I would have sent it to you. But
Oh, excellent.
yeah,
Well, yeah, I
I'll
mean,
look and I'll check it
thanks.
to make sure. If I
Thanks.
have it, I will. I'll get your address from my friend James. So okay. So besides Catholic stuff, what else is on your?
The art world is in the news.
Oh, the banana.
Tell me about the banana.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought. There's a piece of artwork. It's a banana that's duct taped to a piece of paper, and it's selling for $1.5 million. And already 2 people ate the banana at the exhibit, and they had to replace the banana. All right, tell me about your art thing.
I like it when the art world gets involved in politics.
Uh-huh.
I think that's the perfect place for politics.
Right.
So, number one, there are art museums that are volunteering to be voting areas where you go to vote. So when you go to vote, they have an installation up
Oh,
that is supposed to activate your mind in some way.
okay.
So this one curator started an installation called "We Need to Talk," and she called on artists to submit artworks that portray overcoming the political divide in America.
Uh-huh.
So
Oh,
you,
that's interesting.
you go, you look at the thing, and then you vote.
Oh, I was going to say, because, you have to keep those political things, like, away from the voting area. I was thinking it might be trying to convince somebody to vote in a certain way.
Second thing is, remember the Lucy statue?
Oh, yeah.
So many people were outraged by it that they started a GoFundMe page.
Yeah.
Then they had a second statue made. Well, something similar has happened with a twist in the world of sports.
I saw that on on CNN.
Can I explain
Yeah,
it to the
yeah.
other people? So the Miami basketball team, known as the Heat, they decided to put up a statue to one of their great players, and they put up this statue. And fans were like, "That's your statue of Dwayne Wade? Are you kidding us?" And the team said, "Well, what's wrong with it?" And they said, "This is horrible." And even the New York Times conducted a poll nationwide. 99% of the people wrote in and said that is the most stupid, disgusting statue you could ever put up for Dwayne Wade.
I know, he doesn't look
So
anything
guess
like
what
it.
happened?
What's that?
Dwayne Wade stepped forward and he said, "Hey, I chose the statue." They said, "You chose it?" He said, "Yeah, we went through all these pictures of myself, and there was this one of me at the finals,
Yeah.
and I was gesturing to the other team, 'You can't beat us in our house.'
Yeah.
So I helped, when the sculptor was working on it, he would call me in periodically. "How's it coming out?" "Coming out beautiful, beautiful." So now the question is, who's the statue for? The fans or the person who it represents?
So I didn't know that he came out in favor of the statue. I've seen a picture of him. I saw that picture where he was doing that, but he's very handsome. And that Fishburne, is that a guy? Somebody had mentioned that it looked like an actor more than it looked like.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
on social media, people like Dudley just said it looks like Fred Sanford. People are saying it looks like Kelsey Grammer.
Oh,
People are saying that it looks like different anime characters.
wow. Yeah, I don't. I mean,
If they're putting that up in front of the stadium, isn't technically that statue for the fans?
it is for the fans, but is he just not making a fuss because he doesn't want? I mean,
No, he wanted it. He's the one who said, "Use this photo of me to
the
make
photo.
the statue."
I've seen the photo, and it does look like the photo, but it doesn't look like the face in the photo.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
got the same gesture.
I would
He
say
loves it.
I would say nobody is objecting to the gesture. They're just objecting to the lack of recognizability of the face.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. I think, and I don't know. I mean, I didn't hear that he had. I mean, I can understand that he gave the picture, but does he feel it looks like him?
Oh, yes, he loves it.
Wow.
Remember, he was there at like 2 months, 4 months, 6 months as it was being carved.
Wow, that's crazy. Because if I looked like him, I wouldn't want to look. I wouldn't want that to represent me. Because he's a handsome guy, you know, and this guy kind of looks kind of freakish.
Tell him he can take it home and put it in front of his mansion in the little circular driveway, and we'll do one that makes the fans happy for the stadium.
Yeah, do two of them. They should. That's a good point. Do two of them. One is his. His is the commission. So that's his personal commission. Then Richard, I think he has a right to have a personal commission, but he doesn't own the stadium. So the people who own the stadium and the fans, they have a right to say, "Oh, can we get also another statue?" But both of them side by side.
That's the same solution they did for the Lucy statue
Yeah.
and for the Vietnam Memorial.
Yeah. Do they have the other ugly Lucy still up?
Yeah. Got them both up.
Where'd they put the other one, the first one?
Well, I've never been to the park
Near-
where
yeah,
it is.
I've
Have you?
been. Yeah.
I have,
Yeah.
but
I've been to the cemetery. I was on her 100th birthday. I went with Greg, and we went to the cemetery, but neither statue was up at that time.
But it's interesting when the public has an outrage and the curator has to somehow mollify the public. James told me there was a Rocky statue in Philadelphia at the top of the stairs.
Yeah.
And the public complained because people would pretend they're Rocky running up the stairs
Yeah.
and then grab their chest because they were out of shape.
people were having heart attacks trying to make it up the stairs because they were.
What?
It's a very Rob. You've been to Philadelphia. It's a very long,
Yeah,
high.
it's a high. It's
Yeah.
a lot of steps.
Yeah. So the thing was too many people were actually stroking out going up the staircase, and they said that it was a
Hazard,
public
public hazard.
public nuisance hazard, and so
They moved it all the way down, like off to the side in front of a wall
Well,
where you
fir-
can't run up anything.
first they took it away entirely.
Yeah.
And the city was like, "Wait, no, you can't take the Rocky statue away." So they brought it back, and it's now ground floor. If you're walking by on the sidewalk,
Yeah.
you can walk over here and get your picture
That's
with
crazy.
the statue. But if you're running the stairs, you're not running the stairs to the statue.
And when they put up the Vietnam Memorial, there were vets who said, there's no representation of a soldier. It's a wall with names.
Yeah.
Where's us? So they had to carve three vets,
See, I haven't been there since they put. I didn't even know they had that new piece because I've been there when it was just the wall. I thought it was very moving, actually.
Almost everybody who saw it said that.
Yeah, but I didn't know that they.
I had a friend who said that as you're sightseeing in Washington, all the different places, there's the murmur of the crowd. Then you go to the Vietnam Memorial, it gets real quiet all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Everybody just whispers.
yeah. So
Like if you're in the presence of something sacred, you have to whisper.
yeah, I thought it was very moving.
Did you see people like reading the names and?
My stepbrother's there.
Did you find the name?
Yeah, I did. In fact, in the book, you'll notice there's a photograph. There's a couple photographs of him. His death notice. If you're looking through the thing that I sent you, there's a couple different images of him. But yeah, and his friend died. His friend was close by, so it was moving. But I haven't seen the new piece with the soldiers.
I should look it up for you.
We've got 55 seconds.
Well, you can see it off the air then.
All right. Listen, I didn't announce who was on the show. It's Richard and Robert, right? And James.
Yes.
And Paula, and my son Tom on drums. And this was a fun show. Thank you for joining us, Robert, and my buddy James. So we've got 28 seconds left.
I forgive you for not
Tom,
marrying
can you
me.
put it up?
You forgive you
This
for
is
not
it, Paula.
marrying you?
Paula, you can see it.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's actually nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
So you think it was a good compromise?
Well, for the people who felt like they weren't being represented, yeah, I think it was nice. Anyway, thanks for finding that. Okay, bye everybody. It was fun.